I'd like you to think about your favourite space. It might be a cafe, a shop, your home, or some other place. Think about the ambience, the furnishings, what's in it. What does it look like? How does it make you feel? What makes it unique and interesting to you? Now think about your home. Imagine if somebody came in and rearranged everything. How comfortable would you feel? Spaces are really important. The architect Christopher Alexander said we should all be involved in designing our spaces so that they serve our needs and they bring meaning to our lives. But somehow, along the way, I think we've kind of lost the path. We're actually designing environments that are making us crazy. I think many of us would be the very worst version of ourselves in this photograph, in this particular space. And I was talking to a group of architects recently, and they said beauty actually doesn't really come up when they're designing. Are you surprised by that? I know I was. In the 1960s, we thought it would be more efficient and collaborative if we put everyone together in a room that looked like this. And in 2014, we thought it would be more efficient and collaborative if we put everyone together in a room like this. And it's ridiculous now when we hear people saying they need to work from home or in a cafe or with headphones on, just so that they can get some work done. I was talking to a scientist recently whose organisation has moved to open plan, and he said he cannot think to do his work. So he went to talk to the person who's in charge of the new office, and they said to him, well, you know, if you think you've got an idea coming on, then you can book a room and go in there and then see how that goes for you. So what's actually happening is that people are using boxes and plants and anything else that they can find to create a space where they can actually get some work done. We've also seen this trend towards actually having no desk at all. So when you arrive at the office in the morning, you need to go and find somewhere to work for the day, and then at the end of the day, you need to take everything with you, because if you don't, there's a policy that says the cleaner will throw it into the bin. This might work well for some people though. A CEO recently said that in the mornings he can get some work done because people know that he's in the building. They just can't find him for about 2 or 3 hours, so he hides in a different space every day, and that's when he's able to get some work done. But it's actually a really big problem. Okay, 75% of people cannot concentrate at work. Badly designed spaces make us more hostile, less collaborative, they make our cortisol levels skyrocket, we don't learn as well, and we're far less generous. And I think that this is a really significant issue. If some of you might say, I work well in a cafe, the noise doesn't really bother me, but I can't think in the office. And there's a very good reason for that. Your brain is actually tuned in to listen to conversations in places like the office, where they might actually be about you or about something that you need to hear about. Whereas in a cafe, our brain is less tuned in to information we don't think that we need. So we've been designing spaces because we think we're going to build better relationships and more innovation and more collaboration, and actually we don't. We are worse at building relationships in spaces like this. We become far more withdrawn. I used to have a job when I worked in a space like this, and then I had a job where I was responsible for trying to make people happy who worked in a space like this. And we spend millions of dollars on logos and advertising and IT and innovation training, and then we're putting people in spaces where they actually can't do the work that they need to do. And it doesn't support the type of individual that they are. And the result is we have far too many people at work who are somewhere between being bored to death and stressed to death. If I took you out of a noisy office and put you into a space that was beautiful and where you could concentrate, more than likely your creativity would double and your cortisol levels would halve. And the problem is we're actually starting with the wrong question. What would happen if we started with the question, how do people in this space actually enjoy their life and their work on a daily basis? How could we design our cities to be more interesting and inclusive, and spaces that support people being more creative? You might be sitting there thinking, I'm not creative. Well, actually you are. Space acts like a cognitive scaffold for your brain. It can cause you to be a different version of yourself. Jonas Salk used to go to this space here in Assisi. He said it helped him to think more clearly and work through the problems he was having designing the polio vaccine. And we've proven this now. fMRI results show that certain types of spaces actually cause your brain to operate in a completely different way. This is the reading room in the British Library. And since 1857, people like Oscar Wilde and Virginia Woolf and a whole host of others have been going there because of the effect that it has on their work and who they are. So there are three things that we need to do to design spaces that actually help us. The first is that it needs to be beautiful. You know, as humans, we have an instinctive need for beauty. Beautiful spaces make us more tolerant, happier, and more expansive in our thinking. You know, it's no longer bring your own device. In many places, it's actually bring your own furniture. A friend of mine had the ugliest office you could imagine, and he went to IKEA and he bought some furniture and some plants, and he redecorated it, and he repainted it, and it's beautiful, and people are drawn to it. And he said the facilities management people in his organisation still haven't noticed after 2 years. The second thing we need to do is to design spaces that are actually functional, that serve the activity that is intended to go on there. Tyler Brûlé recently said that we need to design apartments for the humans who are actually going to be living in them, not for a marketing brochure. For a space to work, it needs to make you psychologically as well as physically comfortable. And very few spaces actually do this. You know, we still like to have a view to see people coming. We like to have a space to retreat to. That's why the booths in restaurants fill up the fastest. According to old mafia folklore, it's a good idea to sit with your back to a wall. And thirdly, we need spaces that allow us to connect when we choose to. You know, we have a fundamental need to belong and feel like a valued member of a community. Life is about exchanging ideas, connecting with other people. And if you look at this space, this children's bookstore, it does that. It looks great. It gives the children a space to go and retreat and read and daydream, as only little children can. And it brings them together around reading. It's actually designed for all of the senses. So next time you are having trouble being creative or solving a problem, try finding a space that has these three elements and see what difference that it makes to you. When we do these three things, we also design cities that are more interesting, innovative, and diverse. If we bring neuroscience into architecture, we might be able to build places like an Alzheimer's facility that helps its residents remember who they are. Some of the problems today that we're facing in the world are so complex, we have no idea how we're going to solve them. No idea. There are many young people in the audience here today who are going to be faced with solving these problems. We need spaces that are going to take us beyond what we think is possible, that help us to act and think and feel differently. And we should be able to experience those spaces every day. It shouldn't be an unusual event. Our environments need to excite us. They need to give us meaning. And most importantly, they need to connect us to that spark of self-belief within ourselves that helps us feel like we can actually do something significant. Thank you.